The night begins. The road stretched out like a ribbon of silver under the quiet sky. Stars scattered above, glowing like tiny fires, and the moon followed softly, lighting the way. Keanu Reeves kept his hands steady on the wheel, his eyes calm, but heavy with thoughts. Beside him, Ana de Armas sat quietly, looking out the window, her reflection mixing with the night outside. The car hummed through the open highway. It was late, far past the hour when most people were asleep. But something about this drive felt alive. It was not about reaching somewhere. It was about leaving behind noise, weight, and hidden feelings. Anna broke the silence first. Her voice was soft, almost unsure. She asked, "Why did you want to drive tonight, Keanu?" He did not answer right away. He wanted to pick his words carefully. After a long breath, he said, "Sometimes, silence heals more than any words. But tonight, I felt you needed to be out here, under the stars, not in some crowded room with fake smiles." Anna lowered her gaze. His words touched her because they carried truth she could not deny. The last few weeks had been heavy for her. The world saw her as confident, glowing, unstoppable, but inside, she carried doubts she never shared. She whispered, "You always know when I am not okay." Keanu glanced at her. "Because I see more than what you show. You hide your pain, but I've been there too. I know that feeling." For a moment, her chest tightened. She thought of the times she forced herself to smile, the times she felt like no one noticed her silence. Yet Keanu had noticed. The highway curved, and the stars above shifted like they were moving with them. The night grew deeper, and with it, so did the conversation. Anna asked him, "Do you ever feel like you are alone even when people are around you?" Keanu's grip on the wheel tightened slightly. He nodded slowly. "Many times. I think it's the curse of people who give too much of themselves. We give kindness, respect, love, but when the world turns quiet, we wonder if someone would do the same for us." Anna's throat ached at his honesty. She never expected him to open his heart like that on a simple drive. It was as if the road had unlocked something inside both of them. A long silence followed. Only the sound of tires rolling over asphalt filled the air, but it was not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that allowed truths to grow. Suddenly, Anna's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, sighed, and put it face down. Keanu noticed, but did not ask. Instead, he simply said, "Whatever it is, you don't have to carry it tonight. Let the stars hold it for you." His words made her smile faintly, but also made her eyes wet. She turned her face to the window quickly so he would not see. But Keanu saw. He always did. Then something unexpected happened. As the car moved down a quiet stretch of road, they saw a figure standing near the side. It looked like a man waving weakly for help. The night was empty, no other cars, no nearby houses. Anna gasped. "Keanu, stop the car!" He slowed down carefully, eyes sharp, hands ready. Years of experience taught him to be cautious. He pulled over a few feet away. The man stumbled forward. His clothes were worn and his face looked tired. "Please," the man said, his voice shaky. "My car broke down a mile back. I have been walking for hours. Can you help me?" Anna looked at Keanu, unsure. The night was quiet, almost too quiet. It felt risky. Keanu studied the man's eyes. There was no anger, no trick, only exhaustion. He stepped out slowly, keeping his calm presence. Anna whispered through the window, "Be careful." Keanu nodded once, then spoke to the man. "We will help you, but first take a breath. You are safe now." The man's shoulders dropped in relief, as if those words were enough to hold him up. Anna stepped out too, though nervous. The night breeze touched her hair, and the stars above seemed to lean closer as if watching. She felt the weight of the moment. This was not just a drive anymore. Something unexpected had found them. The man explained that his phone battery had died and he had no way to call anyone. He had been walking aimlessly, hoping someone would stop. Anna felt her chest tighten again. She remembered her own feelings of being lost, walking in silence, wishing someone would notice. Now here was a stranger living the same truth on this dark road. Keanu looked at him and said, "Get in. We'll take you to the nearest gas station. No one should walk alone at this hour." The man's eyes watered with gratitude. "Thank you. I thought nobody would stop. People drove by all night." Anna felt something stir in her heart. She whispered almost to herself, "Sometimes the world tests how far kindness can go." Keanu looked at her gently, then started the car again. The three of them moved forward into the night, and with each mile, Anna began to feel something change inside her. Maybe the drive was not only about escaping her own pain, maybe it was about finding meaning in the middle of the unknown. The road ahead was long, the stars still burned bright, and deep down, both Keanu and Anna knew this night was only beginning. The stranger's story. The car rolled slowly through the night. Inside, silence stretched again, but this time it was heavier. The stranger sat in the back seat, his hands trembling, slightly as he held them together. The faint glow of passing streetlights revealed the tired lines on his face. Anna glanced at him through the mirror. She could see sadness in his eyes, a kind of sadness that went deeper than just being stranded on the road. It made her chest feel heavy. She looked at Keanu, and he gave her a small nod, as if telling her silently, "I see it too." After a while, Keanu spoke. "What's your name?" The man's voice cracked as he answered. "My name is Daniel." Keanu nodded. "Daniel, you're safe now. We'll get you where you need to go." But Daniel shook his head. "No, it's not just my car. It's everything. Tonight I wasn't even sure if I wanted to keep walking." His words froze the air inside. The car. Anna turned in her seat, her heart racing. She asked softly, "What do you mean?" Daniel lowered his head. "I lost my job last month. I lost my home 2 weeks ago. Tonight I thought, maybe the road should end for me too. But when I saw your car, something inside me made me wave. I don't even know why." Anna felt her throat tighten. She whispered, "You waved because deep down, you wanted someone to remind you that life is not over." Keanu kept his eyes on the road, but his voice carried a strength that filled the car. "Daniel, listen to me. You matter. Maybe life has beaten you down, but I've learned one thing. Even in the darkest nights, one act of kindness can bring back light. Tonight, we met for a reason." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. He wiped them quickly, embarrassed. "People don't usually care. They look at me and turn away. Why are you different?" Keanu slowed the car, pulling it near the side of the road again. He turned slightly so he could look back at Daniel. "Because I know what it feels like to carry pain alone. I know what it feels like to wonder if the world sees you. But I also know kindness is a choice. Tonight I choose to see you." Anna placed her hand gently on the seat, her voice soft but firm. "And I do too. You are not invisible to us." For the first time, Daniel smiled faintly, though his eyes still watered. The car moved again. They passed quiet trees, empty fields, and long shadows stretching under the moon. But something had shifted inside the car. It no longer felt like just a ride. It felt like three souls sharing the same fragile truth. Anna leaned back in her seat and spoke slowly. "I used to think that people in pain should hide their weakness, but tonight I see that sharing pain is not weakness. It is courage." Daniel looked at her reflection in the mirror. "Then maybe I was brave without knowing it." Keanu smiled gently. "Yes, you were. And bravery is not about never falling. It's about standing again, even when your legs are weak. The words sank into the silence. The car hummed softly, carrying them all forward. After a while, they saw a small gas station glowing faintly in the distance. It looked old and worn, but its light felt like a safe harbor after a long storm. Keanu parked the car. Daniel stepped, out slowly, his body tired but lighter than before. He looked at both of them, his voice trembling. "Thank you. I don't know how to repay this." Anna shook her head. "You don't have to repay us. Just promise that you will not give up on yourself." Daniel swallowed hard, then nodded. "I promise." But just as they were about to leave, a loud sound echoed from behind the gas station. It was sharp, like glass breaking. The three of them turned quickly. Daniel's eyes widened. "There are people back there." "Sometimes trouble happens here at night." Keanu's jaw tightened. He exchanged a glance with Anna. He could have driven away, but something inside him refused to ignore it. "Stay here," Keanu said firmly. "I'll go check." Anna grabbed his arm. "Keanu, wait. It could be dangerous." He looked at her calmly, his voice steady. "Danger does not stop us from doing what is right." Anna's chest filled with both fear and admiration. She knew he would not back down. She also knew she could not let him go alone. "Then I'm coming with you," she said quietly, but firmly. Keanu stared at her for a moment, then gave a small nod. Together, they walked toward the shadowed corner of the gas station. The night, around them growing heavier with suspense. The stars above burned brighter, as if holding their breath for what was about to happen. The shadow behind the gas station, the night air grew colder as Keanu and Anna stepped carefully around the gas station. The faint glow of the main lights faded, leaving them in near darkness. Only the moon and the stars gave them guidance. Their footsteps echoed softly on the ground, each step filled with tension. Anna whispered, "Are you sure we should do this?" Keanu kept his voice steady. "Sometimes the right path is not the safe one. Trust me." When they reached the corner, they stopped. Keanu raised his hand, signaling for silence. From behind the building came muffled voices. They sounded harsh, angry, desperate. Then another sound, a soft cry like someone pleading. Anna's heart thudded in her chest. She held onto the side of the wall, trying to calm her breathing. Keanu slowly leaned forward, just enough to see. In the dim light of a flickering bulb, two men stood over a young boy, no older than 15. The boy's backpack lay torn on the ground, his belongings scattered. One of the men held a bottle in his hand, while the other shoved the boy against the wall. "Give us the rest of your money," one of them shouted. The boy shook his head, tears streaming down his face. "I don't have any more, please." Anna gasped quietly, her hands covering her mouth. Keanu's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening. He turned to her and whispered, "Stay behind me." Anna shook her head. "No, I won't stay back this time." Before Keanu could reply, one of the men raised his arm to strike the boy. Instinct took over. Keanu stepped forward quickly, his voice strong and clear. "That's enough." The two men froze, startled by the sudden voice in the dark. The boy looked up with wide, desperate eyes. "Who are you?" one of the men growled. Keanu walked closer, his presence calm but powerful. "Someone who doesn't stand by when others are in danger?" Anna followed, her steps trembling but steady. She picked up the boy's backpack and held it close to him, whispering, "It's okay. You're safe now," the taller man sneered. "You think you can stop us?" Keanu's voice remained calm, but his words carried weight. "Kindness is stronger than fear. You should walk away before you regret what you're doing." For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then the other man laughed coldly. "Kindness won't protect you tonight." Anna's pulse raced. She felt the danger rising, but Keanu stood firm. "You're wrong," he said quietly. Kindness is the only thing that ever does. The men exchanged looks, but before they could move closer, headlights appeared at the edge of the road. A car pulled into the station. The sudden light cut through the darkness, and the men panicked. Without another word, they ran into the night, disappearing into the trees. The boy collapsed to the ground, shaking. Anna knelt beside him, wrapping her arms gently around his shoulders. It's okay. You're safe. You're not alone anymore. Keanu crouched beside them. What's your name? The boy stammered through tears. Miguel. Keanu placed a steady hand on his shoulder. Miguel, you're safe now. You're strong for surviving this. The car that had pulled in belonged to a local worker coming for a night shift. He looked surprised but quickly understood the scene. He called the police while Keanu and Anna stayed close to Miguel. Miguel whispered, I thought no one would come. I thought they would hurt me until I had nothing left. Anna's eyes filled with tears. We came because life always sends someone when you least expect it. You just have to hold on long enough to see them. Keanu looked at her softly. The truth in her words touched him deeply, because he knew she was speaking about more than just the boy. She was speaking about herself too. When the police arrived, they took Miguel to safety and promised to look for the men who ran away. Miguel held onto Keanu's hand tightly before leaving. Thank you, he whispered. You saved me. Keanu smiled gently. Remember, Miguel, one dark night doesn't mean your story is over. Keep walking. The stars will guide you. As Miguel left, Anna leaned against the wall, her body still shaking from the fear and intensity. She whispered, Keanu, what if those men had attacked you? What if something happened to us? He turned to her, his eyes calm but filled with quiet strength. Then at least we would have stood for what is right. Life is not measured by how safe we stay, but by how many times we choose courage over silence. Anna's chest ached with emotion. She realized in that moment how much his words shaped her own heart. They walked back toward their car where Daniel waited. He looked at them with wide eyes. What happened? Anna glanced at Keanu, then answered softly. We found a boy, and tonight he found hope again. Daniel lowered his head, tears building again. You're not just helping strangers. You're helping me see that life is still worth fighting for. Keanu started the car, his voice calm, but firm. That's the truth, Daniel. Every time we give hope, we also keep it alive in ourselves. As the car moved forward again, the night sky stretched endlessly above them, brighter now as if the stars themselves were proud. But deep inside, Anna knew this night was far from over. Something larger, something unseen, was still waiting ahead. Tide. Choice in the silence. The car rolled quietly down the empty road again. The hum of the engine filled the silence, but the hearts inside carried more weight than before. Keanu kept his eyes steady on the road, while Anna leaned back in her seat, her thoughts restless. Daniel sat in the back, staring out the window, lost in reflection. Anna finally broke the silence. Her voice was soft but heavy. Keanu, why do you always step into danger for people you don't even know? He did not answer right away. His eyes focused on the endless stretch of highway. After a long breath, he spoke. Because I remember the nights when no one stepped in for me. I remember wishing someone would notice my silence. I don't want anyone else to feel invisible like that. His words struck deep. Anna lowered her gaze, remembering her own lonely moments, the times she had begged silently for someone to see her pain. Daniel leaned forward slightly, his voice weak but honest. Tonight, you stopped for me. If you had driven past, maybe I would still be walking into nothing, maybe worse. You saved me too. Anna turned and looked at him with soft eyes. Daniel, you saved yourself when you raised your hand. You asked for help. That's bravery too. Daniel shook his head slowly. I don't know if it was bravery. Maybe it was desperation. Keanu glanced at him in the mirror. Sometimes desperation is just courage in disguise. The car moved on. The road seemed endless, stretching, under the sky that shimmered with stars. Then, without warning, the engine made a strange sound. Keanu frowned, gently slowing the car. What happened? Anna asked quickly, her voice tense. Keanu guided the car to the side of the road. The engine coughed and then went silent. The car stopped completely. Around them, there was nothing but fields and long shadows. Anna's chest tightened. Don't tell me the car just died out here. Keanu opened his door and stepped out, checking under the hood. Daniel joined him, though uncertain. Anna stayed inside for a moment, gripping her hands together, her heart racing with unease. After a while, Keanu closed the hood and spoke calmly. It's not serious, but we can't move until the engine cools down. We'll have to wait. Anna stepped out, the night air brushing her face. The silence of the fields was deep, almost too deep. She looked up at the stars. They seemed closer now, brighter, as if trying to comfort them. Daniel sat on the edge of the road, his hands resting, on his knees. His voice was low. It feels like life keeps stopping me, no matter how far I try to go. Keanu sat beside him. Life does that sometimes. It stops us, slows us, even breaks us. But the pause is not the end. It's only a chance to breathe before moving again. Anna walked closer, her eyes shimmering with emotion. Maybe pauses are where we learn the most. Maybe this moment is meant to teach us something too. Daniel looked at her, his voice trembling. What if I don't have the strength to start again? Keanu placed a hand on his shoulder. Then lean on us until you find it. Anna's eyes watered. She realized those words were not just for Daniel. They were for her, too. She had been carrying her own hidden battles, the nights of doubt, the fear of being misunderstood. She whispered softly, almost to herself. I don't know if I'm as strong as people think I am. Keanu turned to her gently. You don't have to be strong all the time, Anna. Strength is not about never breaking. It's about letting yourself be real, even when it hurts. Her chest ached. For the first time in weeks, she let her tears fall openly. She sat beside them on the road, her hands covering her face. Daniel watched her, surprised. You too? Anna nodded, wiping her cheeks. Yes, me too. I smile for the world. But sometimes I feel empty inside. Tonight, I thought I was the one helping you, Daniel. But maybe we're all helping each other. Silence settled, but it was no longer heavy. It was tender, filled with unspoken understanding. Three people, broken in different ways, sitting together under the same sky. Then, in the distance, headlights appeared. A truck approached slowly. Keanu stood, his body tense but calm. The truck slowed as it neared them, then stopped a few feet away. A man stepped out, tall and rugged, wearing a worn jacket. His eyes studied them carefully. Car trouble? He asked. Keanu nodded cautiously. Yes, just waiting for the engine to cool down. The man's gaze lingered on them for a moment too long. Then he smiled faintly, though something in his eyes seemed unreadable. Long night to be stranded out here, he said. You folks need a ride? Anna felt a shiver run down her spine. Something about his tone carried both kindness and mystery. She looked at Keanu, waiting for his decision. Keanu gave a polite nod but did not answer right away. He studied the man's face, searching for truth behind his eyes. The night grew heavier, the stars above watching silently. In that moment, they all knew a choice was about to be made, one that could change everything about this strange, endless night. The stranger's offer, the night was still, but the tension around them was sharp. The truck's engine rumbled softly, breaking the silence of the empty road. The rugged man stood with his hands in his pockets, his eyes shifting between Keanu, Anna, and Daniel. Anna's heart pounded. She whispered to Keanu, "I don't know if we can trust him." Keanu's gaze never left the man. His voice was calm but firm. Trust is always a risk. Sometimes it saves us, sometimes it teaches us. But we cannot stand still forever. Daniel leaned forward, his voice uncertain. Maybe he's just trying to help. People do still care, right? The man gave a small chuckle, as if reading their thoughts. Look, I know I don't look like much, but I've been driving this road for years. Folks get stranded all the time. I'm not here to cause trouble. You can ride with me to the next town or wait out here. Your choice. Keanu studied him a moment longer. Then he nodded slowly. Thank you for stopping, but we'll wait for the car to cool. Still, if you don't mind staying a while, company might help. The man shrugged and leaned against his truck. Suit yourself. Anna's nerves eased slightly, but a strange feeling lingered. There was something hidden in the man's eyes, something that made her uneasy. They all sat quietly on the roadside. The stars above glittered brighter, like a silent audience. After a few minutes, the man spoke again. Name's Robert. Keanu gave a polite nod. I'm Keanu. This is Anna, and that's Daniel. Robert tilted his head. You're far from home, aren't you? Anna hesitated before answering. Maybe we are, but sometimes home is not a place. It's the people beside you. Robert smirked faintly. That's poetic. But the world doesn't always give us people we can trust. Keanu's voice grew quiet, but strong. True. But sometimes strangers meet for reasons they don't yet understand. The words hung in the air. Robert looked at him curiously, almost unsettled by his calm confidence. Then suddenly Robert's face softened. He leaned forward, his voice lower. You're right. Because tonight, maybe I was the one who needed to stop. Anna looked at him carefully. What do you mean? Robert sighed, pulling out a small folded picture from his jacket. He held it in his hands, staring at it for a moment before showing them. It was a photo of a young girl, smiling brightly. My daughter, he said quietly. I lost her 3 years ago in a car accident. Ever since then, I've been driving these roads at night. I tell myself I'm looking for peace, but really, I think I'm just running away from the silence. The group fell silent. Anna's throat ached, her eyes filling with tears. Daniel lowered his head, his own pain reflecting in Robert's story. Keanu spoke gently. Sometimes the road feels easier than facing the grief. I know that feeling. Robert looked at him sharply. You've lost too? Keanu's eyes softened. Yes. I've lost people who meant the world to me. And for a long time, I carried that weight alone. But I've learned the road doesn't erase pain. Only kindness does. Only sharing the burden makes it lighter, Anna whispered. Maybe that's why we all met tonight. Because none of us are meant to carry pain alone. Robert's eyes glistened. He looked at each of them, then laughed softly, though his voice shook. Strange, isn't it? A broken man, like me, stopping for strangers only to find they're broken too. Yet here we are, giving each other pieces of hope. Daniel wiped his eyes. Maybe broken people understand each other best. They all sat in silence again, but this time it was different. It was not the silence of fear, but of understanding. Keanu checked the car again after a while, turning the key. The engine coughed, then started softly. Relief spread across their faces. Anna smiled faintly. Looks like the road wants us to keep moving. Robert stood, brushing dust off his jacket. Then let me at least follow you to the next town. It's not far. Safer that way. Keanu nodded. Thank you, Robert. As they drove with Robert's truck following close behind, Anna leaned against the window, her heart heavy yet lighter than before. She whispered to herself, maybe this night is about more than stars and roads. Maybe it's about broken hearts finding each other in the dark. But just as calm began to return, the road ahead curved sharply. Flashing lights appeared in the distance. Police cars blocked the way and officers waved for them to stop. Keanu slowed the car, his brows furrowing. Anna straightened in her seat, her pulse quickening. Daniel's eyes widened with fear. "What's happening?" Anna asked. Robert's truck pulled up behind them, headlights glowing. The police moved closer, their flashlights shining into the car. One of the officers raised his hand. "Step out of the vehicle." The night air suddenly felt heavy again, filled with questions and unspoken danger. Under the flashing lights, the red and blue lights spun across the empty fields, painting the night in restless colors. The silence that had felt peaceful before now turned heavy, almost crushing. Keanu pulled the car to a complete stop, his hands steady but his eyes watchful. Anna's chest tightened. She whispered, "Keanu, why are they stopping us? We didn't do anything wrong." Daniel sat frozen in the back, his hands gripping the seat tightly. Robert's truck idled just behind them, its headlights throwing long shadows across the road. A police officer approached slowly, flashlight in hand. The beam cut across their faces one by one. His voice was sharp but controlled. "License and registration." Keanu handed it over calmly. "Officer, is there a problem?" The officer's eyes studied him, then moved to Anna and Daniel. "There was a report of suspicious activity near the gas station back there. We need to ask some questions." Anna's heart raced. She remembered the two men who had attacked Miguel. Those men, the ones hurting the boy. Did someone report them? The officer's brow furrowed. "Boy?" "What boy?" Keanu spoke firmly. "We stopped them. We called for help. The police already arrived to take him to safety." The officer's eyes narrowed. "We have no record of that call." The words sent a cold shiver down Anna's spine. She turned to Keanu, her voice trembling. "But we saw it. We saw Miguel go with them." Daniel leaned forward, his face pale. "You believe us, right?" "We're not lying." The officer's expression remained unreadable. "Step out of the car. All of you." Keanu opened his door first, moving slowly. He kept his calm presence, showing no fear. Anna followed, her hands shaking, while Daniel stumbled out nervously. Robert joined them from his truck, his face serious. More officers appeared, their lights bright against the dark road. One of them looked directly at Daniel. "You? We've had reports of a man matching your description wandering the highway, causing concern. Is that you?" Daniel's voice broke. "Yes, it was me. But I wasn't causing trouble. I was just lost." The officer stepped closer. "Lost people don't usually make others call for help." Daniel's knees weakened. "Please, you don't understand. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I didn't know where else to go." Anna rushed to his side, placing her hand on his arm. "He's telling the truth. He was stranded. He was alone. We only helped him." Robert stepped forward, too. "These people aren't dangerous. If anything, they've shown more kindness tonight than I've seen in years." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. One of them finally lowered his flashlight. "We'll need to confirm your story. Until then, stay right here." The group stood together under the harsh lights, their shadows stretching across the road. Keanu's voice remained calm, but inside, he felt the weight of injustice pressing against them. He turned to Anna and whispered, "This is what life does sometimes. Even when you give kindness, the world tests you with doubt." Anna's eyes burned with frustration. "But it's unfair. We tried to save others. Why are we being treated like suspects?" Keanu looked at her with quiet strength. "Because truth is often tested before it shines." The minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Then, finally, one officer received a call over his radio. He listened, nodded, and his expression shifted. He walked back to them. "We just got confirmation. There was a boy at the station. Miguel, your story checks out. He gave us your description." Relief washed over them. Anna closed her eyes, whispering, "Thank God." The officer nodded. "Sorry for the confusion. It's a long night for everyone. You're free to go." As the police pulled away, the silence of the road returned, but this time it was heavier, filled with the sting of being doubted even when they had done nothing wrong. Daniel sat back in the car, his face pale. "I thought they were going to take me away. I thought this night would end with me losing everything again." Keanu started the car slowly. "You didn't lose anything tonight, Daniel. You gained proof that truth survives, even when it is doubted." Anna turned to him, her voice soft. "But how much more will this night test us?" Keanu looked out at the road ahead, the stars still burning above. "As much as it needs to. Sometimes the night doesn't end until it teaches us what we were meant to learn." Robert followed close behind in his truck as they drove again. The road stretched into the horizon, but now it felt like it was leading them toward something even greater, something waiting just beyond the silence. The dawn of hope, the night was long, but the stars above still guided them. The car rolled slowly across the quiet highway, Robert's truck following closely behind. Inside, the silence was different now. It was not fear, not doubt. It was the silence of people carrying the weight of everything they had faced. Anna rested, her head against the window, her eyes following the endless sky. She whispered, "It feels like this night will never end." Keanu's hands stayed steady on the wheel. "Every night ends, Anna. Sometimes we just have to keep walking until the dawn comes." Daniel sat in the back, staring at the road behind them. His voice broke softly. "For the first time in months, I feel like maybe I can face tomorrow. Not because life got easier, but because you showed me I'm not invisible." Anna turned to him, her eyes gentle. "You're not invisible. You were never invisible. You just needed someone to remind you." Robert's truck honked once softly, a small sign of connection, as if reminding them that he was still there, still part of this journey. As they entered the next small town, the first signs of morning touched the horizon. A faint glow of light painted the sky, chasing away the heaviness of the dark. The stars slowly faded, but their memory remained. Keanu pulled into a quiet diner parking lot. The four of them stepped out, stretching after hours of carrying the night's weight. The smell of coffee drifted from inside, warm and grounding. They sat together at a booth. For the first time, their faces were clear under the soft light. They were strangers only hours ago, yet now their hearts carried the same story. Robert placed the picture of his daughter on the table. His voice was low but steady. "Tonight, I felt her again. Maybe she guided me to stop for you. Maybe she wanted me to remember that I still have purpose." Daniel wiped his eyes, his hands shaking. "Tonight I almost gave up. But you all showed me something I thought I lost. Hope. I don't know how to thank you." Anna reached across the table, placing her hand over his. "Thank us by living. By choosing tomorrow. That's enough." Keanu looked at each of them. His voice was soft, but every word carried weight. "We didn't just meet by accident. We met because the road wanted us to remind each other of one truth. Kindness is never wasted. It always returns, even in the darkest night." Tears filled Anna's eyes as she whispered, "Maybe we saved each other tonight." They sat in silence again, but this time it was peaceful. It was the silence of healing, the silence of broken hearts beginning to mend. When the sun finally rose, it painted the town in gold. The night was gone, and with it, the fear and doubt that had held them captive. Daniel stood outside the diner, breathing deeply. He looked at the sky, brighter now, and whispered to himself, "I will keep walking." Robert started his truck, but before leaving, he shook Keanu's hand firmly. "Thank you for reminding me that broken roads can still lead to something good." Anna stood beside Keanu, the sunlight touching her face. She felt lighter, freer, like a burden had lifted. She whispered, "This night changed me." Keanu looked at her gently, his eyes reflecting the warmth of the rising sun. The stars guided us, but it was our choices that made the night worth remembering. Together, they watched the dawn rise, each of them carrying a new truth inside. They had walked through silence, fear, doubt, and danger, but they had found something stronger, kindness that bound them together. The road would call them to different paths again, but none of them would ever forget this night under the stars.